Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Collective. As this is your first session, I'm glad you found us. So if you've been with us before, we're happy to see you back. So a few quick things before we dig in. Real Estate Collective is a community built for real estate operators, agents, team leads, solo producers, the people that are actually doing the work. So we host weekly sessions like this one. And in between, we do live in the discussion space inside the community. Everything we put out there is meant to be something that you can actually use on Monday morning. Now, let's moving on to today's session. What you all came here for. Follow Boss is migrating every account to Automations 2.0 through the end of the summer. So I know you may have gotten like a little notification at the bottom. It says June 15th. We did confirm that it's not everybody that's actively going to be changing on the 15th on Monday, but it is going to roll out pretty soon. So a lot of agents are going to be switched over with no warning. So today's session, it gets your account ready before that happens. So the migration is a non-event inside of a scramble. Elena is going to walk us through it live with her Follow Boss open. Elena is the founder of Key Technology Solutions. She's a Follow Boss preferred vendor, and she handles these migrations every single week. So if you can, pull up your Follow Boss on your desktop right now. We're going to get working on it. And so your laptop is going to be super important. So Elena, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Yes, so there's been a lot of confusion and overwhelm. Some people got an email, some people got a notification on their Follow Boss account, and some people got nothing. That's what sort of the consensus was. And maybe you're in here and you're like, well, I didn't see anything, but I'm here anyway. Or yes, I knew, and I attended a session in Follow Boss, and I think I have a good handle, but I'll attend this just in case. So the inside scoopage is Monday, which is June 15th, believe it or not. That's the date. Like, I can't believe Monday is June 15th is what I'm saying. That is already here. At random, people at random, no notice given, your account is going to be moved to 2.0. You don't get a choice. Okay. We don't know who. We don't know how they're picking accounts, but at random, it's going to happen. So that's really what it is. So it's not going to be everyone, and we don't know who. I talked to someone at FUB, and they were like, well, how detrimental would it be to you if your account got switched to 2.0 on Monday if you were one of the ones? I'm like, I mean, at this point, I guess we're fine. Just do it. I guess just do it. I'm tired of this looming over our heads like a dark cloud. Just make it happen, I guess. So we made sure that we had all of our ducks in a row, that we were prepared, and I want to make sure that you here have all of your ducks in a row. So thank you. You are ahead of the game by being here live. Now make sure that you are not just listening and you are doing this live. Might as well use this next 30, 45 minutes to your advantage and do this in your account and not just listen, so that if you're one of the accounts this happens to on Monday, you don't have an option to say, on Monday, if they say, okay, are you ready? Yes or no, this is no longer optional. That's been the case for the past 6 to 12 months to say yes or no. Monday yours might be the one, move it over. So wanted to make that clear. Does that make sense to everyone? You can unmute or say yes in the chat. People are chosen at random. You don't get a choice starting on Monday.
Yes.
Okay, cool. It was so confusing, and I finally got that answer. Even people at FUB didn't know. Our first answer was someone at FUB was like, no, you're still optional. And then the next day from someone else, no, yes, it is happening. You don't get an option. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a bunch of yeses, but also Gabriel asked, didn't they say that the current and 2.0 automations can run in parallel? Gabriel, I think you mean 1.0. And no, if you're switched over, you're like fully in 2.0. You wouldn't be able to run the existing with the 2.0.
Yep. Okay. So first, that's a good question. That's a good segue, Gabriel. If I guess kind of a good segue to what we'll do next. Let's figure out if you're in 1.0 or 2.0. No worries if you're in 2.0 already. What we're about to do can be done in a 2.0 account anyway. But let's find out if you're in a 2.0 account. That's a good starting point, right? Let me show you how to check. Let me share screen and let's go into your Follow Boss account. Make sure I'm going into mine because mine is a 1.0. It might be a 2.0 once we get to Monday. Share screen. And Lisa, you're 2.0, right? Or no, are you using Follow Bus still?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have 3 accounts, and so one of them is on 1.0, the other 2 are on 2.0. And before you share your screen, I do have several more questions. April says, have they mentioned if the new 2.0 for team brokerage accounts will allow other users, non-admins, to create automations action plans in 2.0? I think you will discuss that later, Elena. So I don't know if you want to talk about now. But yes, I don't believe.
Yeah, I can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So we'll hold off on that one. Mike, if you never move to 1.0, just is fine. You don't have to. You have the option to upgrade, but they're forcing everyone to move to 2.0. So you could be one of the lucky ones on Monday. Who knows? So we don't really have a choice at some point. And then Marcy, so for those of us who didn't know anything about it, what will this mean to us?
Well,
Elaine?
you're in the right place, Marcy.
Exactly. We'll address that in a little bit. So, all right.
Okay, so I'm opening up my Follow Boss account. To find out if you are a 1.0 or a 2.0, you go to admin and you go to automations. And it's going to look completely different. It's going to be very obvious. This is a 1.0 account. This is my account. And it's fairly obvious because there's a button at the top of this page that says Upgraded Automations 2.0. So that's one obvious sign here. I'm still in 1.0. Does anyone's account look like this? Yeah.
Where's
Jacob,
that button upgraded? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Where's that button upgraded? I don't see it.
Helma, are you on the admin automations page?
Well, I have to go switch, so that's why I'm asking. Sorry.
To your
Okay,
account?
Hold on. Okay.
Elena, if it says upgrade to 2.0, that means it hasn't switched yet and they're giving me the option?
Correct.
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
see it. Thank you.
So is it better that I don't switch?
Correct.
We are highly advising that you do not switch.
We will do some things today before switch, and then we can do some things after switch
Okay.
so that you are prepared.
Sorry, Elena. It says upgrade to automations 2.0, so that means I'm still in 1.0. And you say do not switch, right?
Yeah. Yep. Right now we're just answering the first question.
Thank
Is
you.
your account 1.0 or 2.0?
Thank you.
So right now your answer is you are in 1.0.
Thank you, dear.
Mike is 1.0. Karen is 2.0. I think I remember seeing that, Karen, in your account. Martin, you're in 1.0.
Anisha's 1.0. Mike is 1.0.
Okay.
Martin is 1.0.
So for the people answering in the chat that say 2.0, no worries. I will show you what you can do in your account if you are already 2.0. Everything we are doing today can be done in 2.0 if you already are. There's just some things to keep an eye out for those who have already switched. Okay, first question has been answered. We know if your account is 1.0 or 2.0. Okay, so to recap and to take a little pressure off, it's not a big deal I should say, don't worry, and it's not a big deal if you have already switched to 2.0. We can do everything I'm going to show you in 2.0 accounts, and I will kind of flip between both to show you how to do everything. So during this hour, we're going to open up your account together, or you should have it already open by this point because you checked which one you have, and we're going to run through everything together. Okay. Let me move
So
on.
Elena, if it says upgrade to automations, it's giving us a choice, but we don't know how long we're going to have that choice.
Correct. Yep. So we're going to do some things before you move to 2.0.
Elena, it was telling me today that mine's moving June 15th.
Yeah, that's what we were saying at the beginning of this, is that some accounts, the message was so confusing, and I told them that it needed to be worded in a completely different way. Some accounts are going to be chosen at random to be moved on June 15th, but we don't know which accounts. A large batch of accounts received that message, but not all of those accounts that received that message are moving on June 15th. It was super confusing.
Thank you.
That's why we decided we need to do this call today, because everyone is totally confused. So that you can control your own path before Monday, if you are one of the chosen ones.
Martine asks, where is the message sent? So if you log into your account, you might have a little pop-up on the bottom right that says you're migrating to 2.0. Some people have it, some people don't. So it's really at random. If you don't see it when you first log into your Follow Up Boss account, then you still might be chosen by the 15th. But yeah, some people are just randomly getting that message as you log in.
Yep. I wouldn't worry about it at this point. We're just gonna
Apologies.
move on.
Apologies. I got dropped really quick. I had to relog in. Where do we find out if we're on 1.0 or 2.0?
Okay, one more time so we can get to the fix now. Admin in Follow Up Boss, then automations. Do you see the screen share as well that I'm showing?
Yeah, mine doesn't say upgrade to 2.0 though, so.
So then yours probably looks like this.
Yep.
Then you're in 2.0.
Swell.
All right, I'm in 2.0 also then.
Okay. No worries. We can do what I'm showing you today in 2.0 accounts as well. So first is, and
Elena, sorry to ask you this.
okay, last question, and then we need to start doing the things to do.
So,
okay.
First team, our company, it's what do you call it? It's an account for everybody, right? Should first team be going to Follow Up Boss and letting them know, please delay on our account?
You can't ask Follow Up Boss to do anything at this point.
Yeah, they don't have any control over who gets migrated over.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go. This next fix is totally dependent on what automations you personally have. So I cannot tell you personally in your account, the total 51 people on this call, which automations apply to you. However, I can give you some ideas. The first automations to look for are automations that are based on activity, like look for things like a back to website or recent online activity. So for example, in our account in automations, we have something called recent online activity or viewed property. Anything that has to do with coming back to your website, viewing a property for sale, anything that's based on coming back to your website, viewing IDX, looking at a home for sale. If you have key technology set up, then it's literally called either recent online activity, which you see on the screen share here, or back to website. So then you can just use the Control F on the screen and find it like I just did, or Control F for back to website. That's the most common one. If you're using like the default one in Follow Up Boss, Lisa, do you know off the top of your head what the Follow Up Boss default one is called?
Oh man, it's been so long. I don't have my default. Anybody got a newer Follow Up Boss account? Maybe you can take a look for us. Let me see.
Look for like re-engaged, viewed website.
Yeah, I remember the birthday one, and that was default, but that's not an activity.
And when you open it up, what you're looking for is like this, viewed a property or saved a property at the top of the automation. You're looking for an automation that looks like this at the top, viewing a property or saving a property. Pierre, I see that you clicked, and yes, thank you, Pierre. We should have said this at the top. If you have a question, click the hand button. That way we can get our thought out first and then answer questions. Go ahead, Pierre.
I had a question when you said about recent activities. If I have my client in a re-engage or a long seller's drip, and they go to my website, and I have that set up for recent activity, visit the website, will it switch or will it add them in? Which action plan or automation would take precedence?
Both can happen at the same time, actually. And that's not what we're here to solve today. We're here to solve something else that I'm about to show you. But try to find the one where they're coming back to the website and open it up and see if this is what the initial start is at the top of the automation. And both can.
Yeah, Jacob says he doesn't see his, and he has KTS. Jacob, I'd probably reach out to the KTS team and then can probably show you, but you should be able to see yours in the action plans or
in the automation. Yeah, Jacob, they're either called back to website or recent online activity. If you cannot find it, most likely someone within your company renamed them, but they've only ever been called back to website or recent online activity. Yeah, Mike, yours might be called property is saved, property viewed. Yeah. Okay, great. Glad you found it, Jacob.
Yep. Cindy, could there be more than one automation? Activity automation, I think, Cindy, but yes, you could have multiple. Yes.
Yep. Okay, so once you find one, and I'm showing this in a 1.0 account, I'll show it in a 2.0 in a second. So the 1.0, when you scroll down below the trigger, below the action plan that initiates, what you are wanting to check is when it gets completed, you want to make sure that this says run once per person. You don't want it to say run multiple times per person like this. Make sure it says run once. The reason for this, Automations 1.0, and I've told FUB this about 6 months ago. Automations 1.0, that's what we're calling this screen here, has a safeguard in place that if someone views a property on whatever it is you have connected to Follow Boss, your IDX, Real Scout, Rooster, Zillow, what am I missing? Anything else, Lisa?
Did you talk about Real Scout or?
Yeah. So YLoco, yep, good one, Mike. If someone comes to your website right now, I'm 2:20 Central, and then 10 minutes later looks at another property, and then 30 minutes later, there's a safeguard in place where, sure, that technically is a trigger each time, where technically it should be initiating that action plan every time. But there's a safeguard in place right now in 1.0 to where it doesn't happen, where they don't get that same email 3 times in a row. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist in 2.0. So they would get that same initial email, hi, thanks for reviewing a property, or whatever that first email is that you've set up in this action plan 3 times in a row. Or it could hit its max. Follow Up Boss's only safeguard in 2.0 or 1.0 is preventing 5 action plans from starting at the same time, or 5 emails sending from the same time. So they could hit the max of getting the same 5 emails in a row, unless you ensure this thing I'm showing you here says run once per person in 1.0. So yes, Mike, I wanted to share why this was important. As long as the completed last step is run once per person, that is not going to happen. In 2.0, let me find this in someone's account. Back. And in this person's account, it is called back to website. When you open it up, It is in the top right corner. And so the top right corner has the gear icon. It's not at the bottom. It's the top right corner with the gear icon, and it's the checkbox here to make sure it's not repeat this automation. So a little bit different in automations 2.0. Does that make sense? If you can say yes in the chat for everybody. Okay, great. Some of you might also, oh, Marcy said no.
Mhm.
Marcy, you can come off mute. That might be faster than typing.
Well, what you showed makes sense, but I'm not sure if my automations are affected. So you said this affects the Real Scout connection between Follow Up Boss and
It affects anyone who has a website connected to Follow Boss that has an IDX, and you're using an automation that tracks that activity, or it affects anyone who has Zillow connected to Follow Boss and you have an automation that's tracking that activity. Basically, anything that connects to Follow Boss that tracks property views. So it could be your website, it could be Zillow, it could be Real Scout, it could be Ylopo, it could be Agent Fire, it could be Real Geeks, it could be Ylopo, it could be a long list of providers. But Fellow is not home searching. So I'm specifically talking about searching homes online. Abril, no. I know, sad face. I did speak to someone yesterday and I said, please remind them again. And they said, okay. Go ahead, Marcy.
I have Real Scout connected to Follow Up Boss, but I don't see it on the automation. So how would I change that particular setting?
So automations are typically set up by you or an admin or an operations manager or a third party if you've hired someone to set up automations. They aren't typically set up by Real Scout. Like Real Scout doesn't go into your Follow Boss and set up automations. Or if whenever you set up Follow Boss, you just like saw the default automations that Follow Boss set up and you just turn them all on. There is one default automation and Follow Boss when you sign up that's based on activity. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of it because I deleted that one out of my account. And that's why I was showing what it looks like here to look for one that looks like this at the beginning, since I don't remember the name of the automation. But this is for people who have created an automation themselves in Follow Boss, or they've hired someone to create this, or if they used and turned on the one that's provided by Follow Boss by default that tracks online activity. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it, and it looks like we weren't able to get anyone who's here on the call to post the name of it.
Mike says new inquiry, maybe?
New inquiry. Okay. So Marcy, do you see one in your automations list called new inquiry?
Yes.
Okay. So when you open that up, what does it look like at the top? Does it look like this, where it looks like property viewed or inquiry or registration or property saved?
Nope, it doesn't look like that. It's just long. It doesn't have two. It just says new inquiry, then it says conditions, and then it says action plan and complete it. And it does say run once per person at the very end.
Okay, then you're all set. You're all set.
Really? Even though I haven't done anything?
Yep. This applies to people who may have then created their own automations or hired someone to create automations, or maybe they had an admin do it or a virtual assistant or something like that. But you're all set for that one.
For everything?
For
Or-
this one that I'm showing here. We're not done yet with the webinar.
Okay.
And this probably doesn't apply to you, Marcy. For those of you who have created automations for Real Scout, these are the people who are tech savvy and maybe have an ops manager or a database manager, or have tasked someone on your team to do this, or have hired a third party CRM builder, who have built automations for those platforms, like I mentioned, Real Scout, Ylopo. I don't think I need to repeat them. Hopefully you remember that list. You want to check those as well to make sure those don't have run multiple times. So you can just go back to the page and search, probably just search by the keyword Ylopo or whatever it is you have connected to Follow Boss, Real Scout, Fellow. In that case, Martin, check Fellow and make sure that none of them say run multiple times. So if I pull up this Fellow, this one says run once. So all of ours have been adjusted for all of these to say run once.
Yeah, and so Shauna also has a question. So as long as all automations say run once per person, we are good. I think you'll address this in our next section. So these are all activity-based. So not all automations have to be run once. There's specific ones that Elena will point out to you, and we'll talk about another scenario where you do want multiple. Yeah. So
don't go and just go click happy and say, oh, okay, I'm just going to now open every single automation and make sure they all say run once.
Yeah.
We're talking about activity-based ones. So that's why we're being very careful to say this is specific to like Ylopo, Fellow, Zillow, IDX. Yep.
Yeah. So Elena, what Elena's telling you to do is run through your automations, take a look at all of them. If you haven't seen them in a while, especially if you didn't create it or you hired somebody to do it, you want to segment them into different categories. So we're talking about activity-based right now for automations. And Pierre, to answer your question, anything inquiry, recently visited website, property saved, right? Those are activity-based. And those are the ones that Elena's telling you, change your automation to say only run once per person for activity-based automations.
Yep. Karen, did you want to unmute?
Yeah, thank you. So I have been migrated to 2.0, and so I'm looking at mine as you guys are doing this, and mine looks very different. So I do go up to that settings cog, and in there, I can either, what you're saying, I can adjust it and saying run only, let me just see what it said again. I just go back into my other tab. It said run only once or multiple times or something like that.
Yes. So once you click the settings cog, can you see the screen share?
Let me just go back to yours. Yes, exactly.
So once you hit the settings cog under automation behavior, you would uncheck the repeat this automation.
Okay. And that would be for leads coming in as well. For example, in Canada, it's like a Zillow kind of thing, but REW, which is a kind of a search portal. If something comes in there, you only want them going through one loop through it as well. So it just makes sure that it's does not repeat as well.
That is not really at risk. What's more at risk is activity based. So viewing property as the trigger, or a tag being added as the trigger, for example, is what's at risk.
Okay, or adding a tag. That's interesting. Okay, and then you gave us the shortcut for back to website is Control F, and I think there was another one that you said for key technologies you used. Back to website or recently viewed was, what would be the shortcut for those? The other ones?
I'll put it in the chat. Back to website or recent online activity.
And that would be Control F for both of them?
Yeah, there is a search bar in 2.0, but it's not very good.
Great.
Back to website works, but some of the ones, and you'll notice these different nuances when you start searching for different things, it starts to load things that aren't even in your keyword. So you'll type in something and it'll show a list, and that's not even what you're typing.
Okay. But if it was one or the other, not back to website, but recently viewed or inquiry, would that also be searched through Control F, or what would you do to search for those?
Yeah, you can do either one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, let me see. I can lower your hand to just, and then Marcy, did you have another question, or was your hand just left?
Oh, I think I may have left it. I don't know how that works real well.
Okay, that's okay. I'll lower it. Okay. Now let's talk about deals. And Lisa, I think I'm going to ask you this one.
If there's some feedback, we may
Yeah,
want
I
to.
voted that person. Go ahead.
All right. Yes, Pierre, that will be recorded and it will be shared after the session and stuff. So the deals automation, you want me to walk you through it or?
Yeah. Do you mind if I stop sharing and you take over share?
Sure. Hold on. Let me log into my account real quick. All righty. 1 second. Team follow boss. Okay, sounds good. And then I'll have this one up and then this automation and action plan. All right. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so I'm going to do the very similar format. I'll just toggle back and forth between my 1.0 and 2.0 account. So what Elena was showing you before was activity-based, right? Anything that has inquiry, things like that, I think we're good on that. There is a scenario where you would want to run multiple times in your automations. So those are going to be what we call deal-based or transaction-based. And so if you're looking in 1.0, depends on how you built yours out, because mine's a little bit different than some other people's. Let me see. I'll just create one real quick. So for that action plan, oh, no, actually, let me look at my automations. This would be like a deal stage change. That's what I normally do. There's also different ways that you can do different triggers, but I usually use this one, the deal stage change. So if you ever followed any of our like previous follow boss, transaction management, deals automations, this is what I base it off of. So anything that is a deal stage change is what you want to run multiple times. The reason being, if you have a buyer, right, you can have a buyer buy 3 properties from you in the same month. If they're an investor, right? You could have somebody who is, buying and selling at the same time. So this is the reason why you want to be able to repeat this automation, keep it running multiple times. So doesn't matter what you have here for conditions and action plans. Don't worry about all of that. But the main thing is if you have any types of triggers at the top and it's some type of deal automation, transaction automation, then you're going to want to run it multiple times. Elena, I believe yours is TC Assist is ran off a stage change. Is that correct? Or is it
deal stage as well?
Okay, sounds good. So those are the ones that we use. I don't know what, I don't know if you want to do it off a stage changed because I don't use it that way. But yeah, if you have anything that has deal stage change, what I would recommend doing is going through all your automations, take a look at what is the top that is being triggered. If you have deal stage change, make sure you have run multiple times per person turned on. Any questions there?
Nope. And that's just across the board. Like good best practice, regardless of talking about this 2.0 session. Like that's best practice now anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is what it looks like in 2.0. So if you have it and you open it up, it's called deal stage change. This is your trigger at the top. You also want to make sure, I won't go too deep into it, but you also want the manual trigger as well. But this is what it would look like with the deal stage change. And then at the very top here, right next to the name of the automation, click on those two little arrows. And then you want to make sure repeat this automation is turned on.
Sorry, you guys just lost me where you found this backend in the 2.0. So you're going into deal changes or deal stage change name or whatever. Okay, under automations.
Yep. And then do you have any automations built out or that were migrated over?
I should, because we're working on it right now, Elena, with Tracy.
Okay.
Um,
So Elena, what is one of your TC Assist deal automation names?
I think they start with TC Assist
I think they're all TCA. Yeah.
or TCA.
Okay. Yeah, so you find any your TCA one, and I believe like Elena's team should have already set this up already, but you could just open up one that has TCA in it. Take a look at the very top that has the little arrows, and it should automatically have repeat this automation turned on for you.
Mm-hmm. And if we're in the middle of it, then
I think it does, though. I just looked at the first TC Assist thing, and it does repeat in the under the cog again, the setting cog. It says repeat this automation.
Yeah, then you should be good.
And then there's a question from Lisa. Lisa, if you don't see like TCA automations, this is a separate setup for transaction management. So you probably got our FUB revamp, which is focused on lead nurture, lead conversion, and post-closing and Sphere. And then this setup is specific to transaction management. But you should have, unless you opted out, it would have required you to opt out, you should have deals automations. So you would look for automations like seller listed or seller pre-listed. I can type these out. Seller listed, seller pre-listed, seller pending, and then buyer active, buyer pending.
All right. So those, let me see, were the deal stage changes. So if there's no any questions there, I think that kind of takes care of that. So that would be phase kind of 1 and 2 for you to take a look at. So Elena, I'm trying to find my notes for the rest of the next steps.
Yeah. Okay. Now, a post session, yes, make those run multiple. Yep. Lisa, correct. So for when you do decide to click the button to move to 2.0, that is your choice before Monday, if you would like to, if you're not forcibly selected on Monday. One of those choices being if and when you are confident you have found all of the activity-based automations and selected to do one time. The other thing is after the session, I have created a checklist to run through one more time so that you feel confident, and we are posting a recording. So with the recording, I will also be posting a nice pretty checklist since I'm sure you are all like me and Lisa, ops people who like to dot our I's and cross our T's. So post clicking the button, this is what you'll see. After you click, yes, I'm ready, move me to 2.0, this is what you see. You will see this folder here called migrated action plans. So once you click move me to automations 2.0, your action plans get moved over and become automations. A little confusing, but not actually that confusing. What this means is it's still essentially an action plan. It's just called an automation. And when you open it up, at the top, it's just manually activated, just like an action plan. So for anyone who is semi-familiar with an action plan, that's how they work, right? Like if you want to assign an action plan to someone in Follow Boss, you just can manually activate it if you would like to. Like if you open up someone in Follow Boss, you say, oh yeah, I want to assign that action plan manually. Or you can assign it to an automation and say, actually, I want to attach this to an automation and I want to assign it to an automation. So all of your action plans get moved over to the automation page and they get added to the folder called migrated action plans. Does that make sense so far? If I can get a yes in the chat, a few yeses in the chat before I move on. Okay.
Yes.
So what happens with these? Because the tab is still there, as you can see. Yes, the tab is still there. And in fact, you can still see them all. Like if you go to action plans, you can still click into the tab and you can still click on all action plans and you can still see them all. So what's so different? What's the big deal? Well, you can still see them. You can still see who's active, who's engaged, who has completed. However, if you'll notice on the far right side, there is no edit icon anymore. So there's no longer an ability to make changes to the action plans you have in Follow Boss. So for anyone currently active and running on in this person's account, there's 12, well, let's see, there's 2 people in the middle of this action plan called automated valuation engagement. They're going to keep running the course. So if I open this up, I can open it up and I can see the action plan steps. I can see what the emails say, but I can't change the order of the action plan. I can't remove steps. I can't add steps. Those 2 people just stay on that action plan as is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, in the chat would be great.
Yeah. Another interruption. Robin said, I might have missed this, but why are some of mine have linked automations highlighted?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
I think. If not, maybe Lisa can answer it.
Yeah.
Well, because I'll go back to the, yes, but this is not great. So that's another reason for you to make sure you're comfortable with the switch, and maybe you take one last look at your action plans and you're comfortable with these are good enough for the people who are on the action plan because I can't make changes. And I'll explain what happens post switch. And that means, yes, I have one person, or this account has one person running on back to website. So I can't make changes. This one person remains on it and they'll keep running the course. It's a total of 10 emails. And then 2 people are on the new website lead. It's called branded website. They'll run its course. And 8 people are on the home bot engaged. 419, because this person generates a lot of leads from Facebook ads. They'll continue to run its course. That does not change. And you can't change it. What happens though is every new lead that comes in, if you go to admin lead flow, once the change is made to automations 2.0, you'll see on the lead flow page on the far right side, they're now being assigned an automation. And when you make the switch, what was called an action plan is now an automation. So the new buyer lead, for example, is now called an automation, and it automatically just changed to an automation. So the steps are still there, but now Kara, the newest lead from homes.com, or Lee, the newest lead from Kimberly's website for search leads, portal leads, is being added to an automation for branded website. So new leads moving forward are not being added to, where was that branded website? This version of branded website. So that's why there's only 2 people here. New leads moving forward are being added to this version of the branded website. And this is the one that can be edited. I might be going a little bit too fast, so I'm going to pause here. And this is where it gets a little confusing and a little bit crazy. Where did these new automations come from? They were your action plans, and they just got renamed as automations. So they're your action plans. They're just being renamed as automations, and they're still yours. And they can now be edited. It's just, yeah, these are the ones that can be edited. So I can edit the version new leads are being added to. I just cannot edit the version that you saw in the previous screen share. I can't edit the version that leads are on post or pre-switch. So there are 2 people on branded website action plan. I can't edit the steps in that one, but I can edit the steps in the automation version. A little bit crazy, a little bit wacky, but I can edit this version.
Elena, what was Follow Up Boss trying to do when they decided on this change? I mean, there must be a reason, right?
Yes. They are making automations more traditional to an automations builder, like a click and drag, and adding some more functionality, which I'm going to be recording a video after this session because there's not enough time to show the new features in 2.0. But essentially, it's more like a click and drag, like any other automation builder. Like if you went into like Go High Level or another CRM, it's more of a click and drag. And they're like, for example, time delay can now be in hours or minutes. And there's the ability now to trigger things based off of appointments and appointment types. So this is version 1 out of automations. And then they're going to be adding on more functionalities.
Do you remember how much we owe her? Question mark. I don't even remember.
Karen, I can hear you saying how much we owe her. I'm going to mute you.
Sorry.
It's okay. This is version 1 of Automations 2.0. And once this big change happens, they're going to be adding more functionalities to it. It's just the way that Automations 1.0 is now, they couldn't make these types of things possible. It sort of had reached its maximum capabilities with what it was built on, and with the way it was heading and what the software they needed or the backend they needed, it couldn't support delays in hours and minutes. It couldn't support triggering based off of appointments and appointment outcomes. And so they had to make this slightly annoying and painful switch to this new 2.0 interface, essentially. Okay, so that means the automations that are now running under lead flow will be converted in 2.0 into a new automation but has the same steps. Correct. That is correct. And I'm reading my notes here. Please bear with me. Oh, yes, something else. A little thing for you to be aware of. If you're someone who likes to track data and engagement, if you'll notice here, engagement resets. Engagement resets. Everything is 0. So although Kimberly has been using these steps and these action plans for years, it resets to 0 until new people are added to these new, quote, new automations. However, she can always go back to automations and look at the engagement rates here. So now she essentially has like 2 different metrics to look at until more people are added to these, quote, new automations that were already there in the first place. But now you can kind of consider this the new way to track all of your data. Because we're combining action plans and automations into one page, you can see all of your stats. You can see how many people have been added to each automation, how many have engaged, how many have been completed, the status of it being on or off, and when it was created. A couple of, for those who like to be organized, some quick tips. With the migrated action plans folder that Follow Boss creates for you, I would recommend renaming it. So clicking the 3 dots and clicking edit, I would recommend renaming it once you make the switch, renaming it to manual automations. Since we are getting away from using action plans, that's the whole goal, is not using action plans anymore. I'm not going to use the word action plans anymore. I'm going to rename this as manual automations. So what does this mean? I'm going to create a test lead here. So in Follow Boss, once you make the switch over to Automations 2.0 on the far right side, you'll now see a box for automations. When you have a manual automation, aka an action plan that was migrated over, you have the ability, if you would like to manually apply an automation if you would like to, aka an action plan. So instead of using the action plan box, which is now, you can see here, I can't even use it. In 1.0 you can, just for context, in 1.0 I can. I go to a test lead here. I'm still in 1.0 over here. There's a plus button. I can manually assign an action plan. And there's also no automation box over here because I'm not in 2.0. But in 2.0, you cannot. You'll still see an action plan box, but you cannot click the plus button anymore. And instead, you're going to be applying an automation manually.
And like Dave said, it is self-contradiction. Yes. It's not an automated thing. You have to manually apply the manual automation. Yes.
So you want to make sure your migrated action plans, aka manual automations, are still turned on. If they're not, if you want to use them, if they're not turned on, you cannot manually apply them to a lead. It won't show up on the list. Kind of confusing, but if you want to, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like if you have a team of agents and you have archived automations that you don't want your team to use anymore and you don't want them to see it anymore and you want the list to be short and simple, you're like, these are the 5 I want you to use and nothing else, and the trigger is manual, then you would turn all of them off except for these 5, and that's all they would see on the list. That way there's no risk of them accidentally selecting a manual automation that you never want anyone to use, which is a current pain point of using action plans, is your team can see literally every action plan, and there could be hundreds.
Yeah. Let me see. Mike is asking, what about the leads that are still active in various action plans?
Yep. So that is the downside of the migration is, well, I guess maybe downside or not. They just remain on them and they remain active and they will run its course. The only thing you can't do is you can't edit the action plan. You can't, and when I say you can't edit, I mean you can't add or remove a step or change the order of the steps. Now, the action plan is referencing email templates, so you can still edit the email template that's being used if it hasn't sent yet. You can change what the email template says. You just can't reorder or add or remove a step from the action plan for the people on them.
Right. And then Kevin asks, in 2.0, can you manually apply an automation that has a trigger, aka manually apply an action plan that was formerly 1.0? Or
Yeah.
are we going to need to copy all that 1.0? So yeah, short answer is yes, Kevin.
Yes, just needs that manual trigger, which that automatically happens for all the action plans that get moved over into that folder I showed you called migrated action plans. And then we renamed it to manual automations.
Yep.
And then I guess one quick perk I'll show you is when you move over to Automations 2.0, you have the ability to mass assign an automation, but there are things you need to be very careful about because there's no undo button. So that is going to be part of the video I'll record in the pro space, in the discussion space for pro members. Okay.
I know we're about running out of time, so we didn't even get through we got through 2/3 of it. But let's go through some of these questions as well. So Elena, before we run out of time, in case people have to go, anything else that we want to touch on?
Yes, quick homework for you all. To do in under 5 minutes, open up Follow Up Boss, go to every automation, and only open the automations that are turned on. That's important. Only open the automations that are turned on. Find the automations that are triggered by activity. Like we mentioned, that could be online activity, back to website, recently active inquiry. Make sure if it has run multiple times, turned on, turn it off. Then what Lisa showed, anything triggered by a deal stage, that's most likely a transaction plan. You do want that to be run multiple times because either they can run multiple deals at the same time, or the goal is they are a forever client and you work with them again. And if you'd rather not work through this alone, here's what I would point you to. You can message me here in Circle for help. If you would like further help, I'm happy to help you in any capacity that I can. And this is what Real Estate Collective, and then you can post in the discussion space with any questions you may have regarding the 2.0 transition. And like I said, I will be posting, let me show a sneak peek. I will be posting this lovely checklist. Where is my window for the checklist? Checklist for transitioning over to 2.0 to make sure you are all set. And once you are, you can go ahead and make the switch over the weekend before Monday and make those last minute transitions to rename your folders if you would like. And there are some post things to do in the first 10 minutes after the switch. And go ahead with any final things, Lisa.
Yeah. So let me see. So, all right. Final things. Well, let me get through some of these other questions. Let me see. I lost track there. If a user wants to be excluded from all automation, is there a quicker way to go instead of one by one?
No, Follow Up Boss is meant to be company wide.
Yeah, you'd have to go one by one to find those automations. And then Mike says, well, I see status in the action plan section at the lead level.
I'm not sure what that means, Mike. Sorry, if you can unmute or type out what that means.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I see some hands raised, so go ahead and post those questions in the discussion, and we will see you all there in the meantime.
Sounds good. See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.